The September sun glinted off the glass towers as Ethan Blake, one of the city's youngest millionaires, stared at his reflection in the window of his penthouse. To the world, he had everything: youth, wealth, and Madison, a girlfriend envied by all. Yet a shadow gnawed at him. Was her love for him real, or only for the fortune at his feet? In a reckless gamble, Ethan devised a test that would expose the truth, and cost him more than he imagined. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. Ethan Blake was the youngest mogul on the Eastern Seaboard, his face on magazine covers and his net worth whispered about at rooftop parties. But at 35, his heart had grown suspicious and cold. His girlfriend Madison Clark was everything society said he should want. Model beautiful, razor sharp, a social media star who could turn brunch into a press event. Yet lately her affection felt rehearsed. Late one rainy night, Ethan's world changed. A near-fatal car crash left him in a wheelchair. The headlines wrote themselves, "Tech Titan crippled in crash." Madison arrived at the hospital draped in silk and sympathy, vowing to stay by his side. And for a while, she did, helping him pose for tearful photos, calling it a journey of healing for her followers. But when cameras weren't rolling, she became distant, annoyed by the clumsy logistics of his new life. Into that silence stepped Grace Miller, the new housekeeper. She was soft-spoken but observant, her kindness steady in a way that unsettled Ethan. She fetched water before he asked, adjusted the brakes on his chair without making a fuss, and always left the room with a quiet dignity. One night, while Madison was out networking, Ethan heard the sound of footsteps in the hall. Grace's voice floated through his half-open door, speaking softly on the phone. "I think he's lonelier than anyone realizes, and it's going to get worse." Ethan's hand froze on his glass. Who was she talking to? And why did it sound like she knew more than she should? Only 2 days into his recovery, Ethan began to see the cracks in Madison's devotion. At home she acted sweet, but in public, her mask slipped. That evening, she invited him to dinner with friends at a downtown rooftop lounge. The night air sparkled with city lights, but Ethan felt like an exhibit. Madison perched beside him, swirling champagne. "Isn't it tragic?" she said loudly, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Poor Ethan. So young, so limited now. Her friends tittered. One leaned close to whisper, not quietly enough, "At least you'll still have his money." Ethan's face burned as laughter circled the table. He tried to keep calm, but the humiliation cut deeper than any wound. He realized Madison wasn't standing beside him. She was standing on him, using his weakness as entertainment. Later that night, while Madison disappeared into the crowd, Grace quietly approached with a folded napkin. "Here," she said softly, placing it in his hand. Inside, she had scribbled, "Don't let their cruelty define you." Ethan looked up at her, and for the first time, he wasn't sure who in this mansion was truly loyal. But Madison's cruelty was only warming up. The very next night Madison insisted they attend a gala. "People need to see we're still strong," she said, draping herself in diamonds while ignoring the man in the chair. At the event, she abandoned Ethan near the champagne fountain while she basked in the crowd's admiration. Ethan tried to endure the whispers, but then came the blow. Madison, standing with a circle of friends, raised her glass. "You know," she laughed, "Ethan used to be the life of these parties. Now, well, at least he makes a good conversation starter." Laughter erupted, sharp and merciless, echoing off the marble walls. Humiliated, Ethan clenched the wheels of his chair, ready to storm out. But before he could move, a hand touched his shoulder. Grace. She had slipped in quietly as staff, her uniform plain against the glittering gowns. She met his eyes with steady calm. "Let them laugh," she whispered. "Strength isn't measured by who stands. It's measured by who doesn't fall." Ethan swallowed hard. Grace's words anchored him, even as Madison's laughter rang in his ears. But then something unexpected happened. One of Madison's closest friends pulled Ethan aside with a warning that would shatter everything he thought he knew. The friend's perfume hit him first, then her hushed voice. "Mr. Blake, you don't deserve this," she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder at Madison. "She isn't just mocking you. She's planning to leave, but not before securing half your fortune." Ethan froze, the room spinning. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. The woman hesitated. "Because once she's done with you, she'll move on to my brother." She bragged about it. Her eyes softened. "Don't let her destroy you." And with that, she disappeared into the glitter of the crowd. Ethan sat stunned, the words rattling in his chest. Madison's cruelty was bad enough, but betrayal cut deeper than humiliation. When Madison returned to him, her smile wide and empty, Ethan forced his own mask into place. "Tired?" she asked, feigning concern. "Exhausted," he said softly. But inside, something shifted. The game was over. Grace, polishing glasses nearby, caught his glance. She didn't know the full truth, but she saw the storm building in his eyes. And that night, Ethan decided the masquerade would end, in a way no one expected. By dawn, Ethan had made his choice. No lawyers, no quiet breakup. Madison would be exposed on her own stage. That evening, she insisted on hosting a dinner at his estate for a circle of influencers and investors. "It'll remind them you're still relevant," she said sweetly, not realizing she was walking into her own undoing. Grace moved quietly through the room, refilling glasses, unnoticed as always. Ethan remained in his chair, silent, watching Madison command the table with stories of their perfect love. Her voice rang with false devotion, until he cut in. "Funny," Ethan said, tone flat. "You spoke differently at the gala. Something about me being a conversation piece?" The room hushed. Madison's face flushed crimson. But before she could reply, Ethan gripped the arms of the wheelchair and slowly stood. Gasps echoed. Crystal clinked. For a long beat, no one breathed. Madison stumbled back, eyes wide with horror. Ethan's voice was steady. "I'm not broken, but tonight, everyone will see who really is." The room erupted in whispers, but Madison's reaction stunned even Ethan. She laughed. "Do you think this humiliates me?" she hissed. "You've only made me stronger." And then she revealed her own shocking secret. The crowd leaned in, waiting for Madison to crumble. Instead, she straightened, her smile sharp as glass. "Do you all think I'm the liar here?" she said, her voice carrying over the long table. "Ethan's been playing you just as much as he played me. Look at him, pretending to be paralyzed, deceiving everyone in this room for days. Is that the kind of man you admire?" Gasps rippled. The same guests who had pitted Ethan now turned, eyes wide, whispers racing through the air like wildfire. Ethan's chest tightened. Yes, his scheme was cruel, but Madison was twisting it, painting herself the victim. Before he could speak, Grace set down a tray with a deliberate clink. Her calm voice sliced the tension. "There's a difference between deception and cruelty." Ethan tested love. Madison fed on humiliation. The room froze. For the first time, every gaze shifted to Grace, the maid who had dared to speak. Madison's face twisted, rage boiling under her perfect makeup. "A servant lecturing me?" she spat. "Careful, or you'll be out on the street before sunrise." But Ethan didn't flinch. He turned to Grace and said, "Maybe she's the only one who's been honest all along." And in that moment, Madison realized she was losing control, and she struck back in a way no one expected. Madison's eyes darted, wild, as the room waited for her to answer. Instead of retreating, she leaned forward, her voice trembling with fury. "Fine," she hissed. "You want honesty? Then let's talk about secrets." She pulled her phone from her clutch and tapped the screen. A moment later, a recording of Ethan's voice played through the speakers. "If she leaves after this, I'll know it was never love." Gasps rippled. Madison grinned. "He bragged about deceiving me, about deceiving all of you." The betrayal cut twice. Ethan's plan exposed. Madison's venom sharpened. Guests began shifting uncomfortably, some standing to leave. His carefully built image, his reputation, everything teetered. Grace stepped forward, her chin lifted. "You're right," she said firmly. "He lied. But ask yourself, what kind of woman mocks a man for his weakness? What kind of heart uses love as a stage prop?" Her calmness sliced through Madison's theatrics. Ethan's pulse thundered. Grace was risking her job, her future, everything just to defend him. Madison's mask cracked. She slammed her phone onto the table, glass shattering. "You'll regret this, Ethan," she spat. "You both will." And with that, she stormed out. But the danger was far from gone. The dining room buzzed with whispers long after Madison's heels clicked out the door. Ethan stood silent, staring at the shards of glass she left behind. His empire had been built on control, but tonight one woman had shredded it with a single recording. Later, as the last guest slipped away, Grace found him on the balcony. "You don't have to face this alone," she said gently. Her words steadied him, but headlights flared suddenly in the driveway below. Madison's car idled there, windows down. Her voice cut through the night. "Enjoy your little victory, Ethan. Tomorrow the papers will know everything. You'll be ruined before sunrise." Ethan's stomach dropped. With her connections, one phone call could ignite a scandal that no amount of money would smother. But then came the twist. A figure stepped from the shadows near her car. It was the same friend who had warned Ethan at the gala. She leaned into Madison's window, and within moments Madison's voice rose in a furious shriek. Tires squealed, the car tore into the night, and the friend walked toward the mansion. She looked Ethan in the eye and said, "I didn't tell you everything. Madison's betrayal runs deeper than you think." The woman stepped into the light, her expression caught between guilt and urgency. "My name's Olivia," she said. "I was Madison's friend, once. But I can't stay silent anymore." Ethan's jaw tightened. "What else is there?" Olivia glanced at Grace before answering. "Madison never loved you, Ethan. That much you know. But what you don't know is that she was never working alone. Your rival, Preston Hale, has been backing her for months. Every cruel word she fed you, every humiliation, was part of a plan to break you down and push you into signing over a stake in your company." The air left Ethan's lungs. Preston Hale had been circling his empire for years, looking for a way in. Madison hadn't just betrayed him. She'd been a weapon aimed straight at his heart. Grace's face paled, but her voice was firm. "Then it's simple. Don't let them win. Don't give them the satisfaction." Ethan looked between the two women. His wealth, his pride, even his reputation hung in the balance. But for the first time, he realized maybe this battle wasn't about saving his empire. Maybe it was about saving himself. And tomorrow he would decide how. The next morning, headlines hit exactly as Madison promised. "Millionaire fakes disability to test love." Ethan's name was everywhere, his reputation teetering. Investors called, lawyers circled. It felt like the empire he built was slipping away. But instead of hiding, Ethan called a press conference. Cameras flashed as he wheeled himself onto the stage. Then stood. Gasps erupted. His voice carried, steady and raw. "I lied, yes, but not for greed. I needed to know if love could see past fortune. And what I found was cruelty from one I trusted, and loyalty from one who owed me nothing." He motioned to the side. Grace, nervous in her plain dress, stepped forward. The room buzzed. "This woman," Ethan continued, "treated me as a man, not a bank account. That is worth more than every dollar in this city." Before questions could fly, Olivia strode in, holding documents. "And here's what Madison didn't tell you," she announced. "Her scheme with Preston Hale. Their plan to gut this company." Reporters swarmed, flashes exploding. The scandal flipped on its head. Madison and Hale became the villains, not Ethan. That night, Ethan returned to his quiet home, exhausted but free. Grace was waiting with tea. "You risked everything," she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Not everything. I still have what matters." He reached for her hand. And for the first time, Ethan Blake felt richer than he had ever been. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.